in third on 80 points, and he's fighting downwards with Gordon Brown on 77 points on car number 134. He's fourth. Jay Walzer is fifth ahead of Morgan Grace in the 14 Porsche, with Wouter Hyemans, who's been winning for fun recently in Taco Tuesday, currently in seventh in the Ferrari, car number 717. Andrew Eden is eighth ahead of Václav Pospisil in ninth, the Czech driver, not adapted to the Porsche as he would have hoped. Francois de Bont in 10th ahead of Paul Vidler, who has a race planned so will not be turning up today. Alberto Aragonés is 12th ahead of Matteo D'Amica and Mr. Overtaker, with Josh Clayton and Daniel Crossman completing the lineup. We'll see a grid resembling something of the reverse of those. There'll be a couple of drivers that are not racing, so you'll see it's a couple of drivers that aren't appearing on there, but that is what you can look forward to.
Thank you very much. Sorry, I'm just currently rejoining service. I did get kicked momentarily, so just bear with me while we put this back together. But no, thank you very much, Jack, for covering all of that. And you're about to see. So we're just waiting for the session to start, and I've realised I've lost my camera momentarily. So we're going to have to wait to amend that for the start as they head round. But for the time being, we'll look at the inside of Clayton's car, as I'm currently locked in that. But the drivers just be making their final setup changes, adjusting fuel, maybe acknowledging the rain getting a little bit heavier, and maybe upping their tire pressures to deal with the loss of temperature they're going to get from that. So thank you everybody that's joining us so far. As this format is a little bit different per usual, but as you can see there, a few drivers just getting slotted in now. And there is your reverse grid order. Like I said, collected with pros at the top, silver in the middle, and AMS at the bottom there. And we have Josh Clayton leading the entire pack away with Joe Bermuda at the tail end of that, and Chekmasov leading the silver tier away, and Hoek leading the AM tier away.
So just spotted a few more drivers coming in. I think there was a few drivers and a few people knocked out. So I will keep an eye on the announcements just in case there's anything that does change on that one, because Kalugin's just come back in with obviously limited time. They'll have setups on already. I can't think that with this track being what it is and the cars, they won't have setups, but it's just something to keep an eye on with Pro Class, for example, shortened only to 9 drivers. Was a little bit more than that earlier, certainly in the announcements, but something to keep an eye on with AM filling out, even if Silver and Pro look a little bit truncated at this moment in time.
So yeah, obviously it wasn't the original intention to be sat inside somebody's car, but you can see on the windscreen without the wipers going, it is absolutely bucketing it down out there. So without a cleared line going into the first turn, this could get really sketchy for the drivers. Turn 1 in Spain, there's a tendency to run people wide on the outside curbing, but we were discussing just before the stream that people may take the Fernando Alonso route and cut turn 2 to try and avoid incidents. But obviously they do have to manage obviously where they come back on, because they don't want to be picking up penalties post-race for positions unfairly gained.
Yeah, you've got to be careful with looking at how the rain is going to get worse. As well, it's certainly going to be a real test for the drivers. These conditions, I would expect that there may be some issues going into turn 1. As long as drivers bring their brains, you can think that they'll probably be able to be a little bit more cautious. But yeah, certainly something for the driver to think about. And I think they are getting a full formation up, aren't they, to go and assess the conditions, which I think is only right.
I think so. Gives them a chance to try and get their tyre temperatures up as well. Very crucial running in these sorts of conditions to have adequate tyre window.
Got now a couple of drivers who come in. Marcolino has come back in as well and will be starting from the pit lane. He is what would have been lining up in 15th, but he is joining his fellow Italian Fabio Travaglioli in the pits. And the drivers at the moment now, they're kind of on a bit of an exploration lap. They don't want to go too fast and overcook it and go off and cause damage, which they can do. But you're trying to find exactly where the grip is and trying to sort of see exactly what the track looks like. for the first time you get there. If you're Clayton and Pospisil, for example, you're going to have a clear run going into the first corner, but drivers behind, obviously they've got to work out what everything's going to look like with a little bit of spray in front of them as well. So certainly a lap of exploration and trying to just gather as much information as he can.
Obviously, that being said, being leader of the train, obviously you're not going to experience the peacocking of all the cars ahead of you, but you are the first one to test the conditions for everybody else. So it's very much into the unknown for Josh Clayton here. These were the first one braking hard in the first turn, probably harder than anybody else, trying to be able to carry the most speed and to try and maximise and pull away from Pospisil and Eden straight off the marks, because he is going to want that lead. He's not going to want to have people diving over him in these conditions. He's not going to have particularly great visibility in any mirrors that he may be able to access on this digital version of racing.
Well, the Porsche is going to have a better launch than the Aston Martin off the line. I think that's fairly well documented. But the Aston's really good on the brakes and does have, especially in the wet, it is really quite benign. So there's going to be positives there for Clayton and Eden, even going into the first corner. When you're leading on the first lap, it doesn't matter so much that you're hitting the conditions at the first, because even with that in mind, you're also, all the other drivers are going to be hitting at a racing speed first, so that doesn't matter. It's only really if this gets worse, which it's likely to do, that becomes a problem. So if Clayton can get gone, which he's got the ability to do, if he can get gone by the time that it gets worse in the next sort of 10 minutes or so, then he'll build up a bit of a buffer, a safety barrier, if you like. Because I think Jake Handley has now also gone into the pits I think, one of the Ferraris. So yeah, something's gone wrong there for the Audi drivers. They're, I think, forming up, aren't they, Greg?
They are, absolutely. So one thing we may not mention in the build-up is that whilst this is Sprint Sunday, like the 40-minute feature race you're used to experiencing as the race 2, they do have a mandatory pit stop, but only 4 tyres. No fuel is required to be taken on. So yeah, the car's really forming up now. They've got to bunch through the chicane, which by most drivers is the less favoured version of this track, but it's the one they're going to have to deal with tonight. And you're going to have to excuse me while I skip through menus just at the start here. I didn't get a chance on rejoining to set this up properly. All the cars entering, start now. And off we go. So Clayton, as Jack expected, has got a not so good start in comparison to Pospisil to the left of him. But now the straight line speed of the Aston Martin now heads down towards the first turn. He's going to try and claim the inside line. He does have it going on. And like you said, good on the brakes, but has he gone too deep? Does have to collect it up slightly. And that is another Porsche of Grace gaining 2 positions at the start. But then the Aston Martin comes back and then hits him. That's Eden hitting Grace. And now Grace finds something outside. He's got Brown for company just behind him.
He spun again, Grace. I think they're going to all do really well to miss him, and someone's hit him. I think that was the Ferrari of Sharp, but I don't know 100%. We'll have to go back to that a little bit later on. But yeah, he dropped it on the brakes. He dropped it on the acceleration, coming out of turn 2, which is why he staked into Eden and then lost further rear grip, which you don't expect in the Porsche, when he then got collected by, I think it was Sharp in the Ferrari, who has gone to the pit lane, I think.
Yeah, Sharp taking early damage, we're presuming has gone straight to the pit lane. We do have a drive-through of Richings, we can only presume has jumped the start. We're going to try and pick up some of the battles down the grid now. We've got some timings. Brush Tully, we saw set an early pace in practice. Chetmakov's already lost position to Jabino, but up ahead, so I think that was Eden trying to work a move, and that has sent Eden wide.
Gordon Brown has dropped off as well. I think he might have been caught up in the early lap shenanigans. Difficult start as well for Chris Gedman amongst others. He's dropped back into AM territory with Vereth and Townsend. Travaglioli, meanwhile, is starting to come back through the field, so he's got it all to do to win the championship today. But he's up into 27th, so he's come through a couple of the AM drivers and a couple of Silvers who have hit Strife. But I think out in front, Clayton's doing exactly what we said he might do. Now that he's got the lead, he's already got a gap of 2.5 seconds. That's the benefit of clear air in this, because of the conditions being what they are, he can see everything, and now 2.5 seconds is quite a gap to extend for Josh Clayton.
Now we can see the Lexus of Chetmasov closing on Kazakevich. Kazakevich looks a bit deep on the brakes there. The Lexus has mighty straight line speed even in these conditions, especially when it gets the slingshot off the final corner. And we can see the Lamborghini of Vereth in the background going wide through turn 2, and this is invited Surf. So is that Townsend?
It's Townsend. He's going wide with Townsend. I think the ref might have gone and overtaken him illegally, so has given that place back. So because they were that way around, Townsend and Vereth going across the line, so I think Vereth got a little bit too dangerous on the brakes, and I think that Townsend is just redressing that balance. So
look at this, Wouter Heyman's coming from quite far back now. P3, he's got Poppasill in his sights. He's gained massively down the middle straight. And what can he do with Slipstream?
He's almost too close through Cancer, isn't he? That fast right-hander. Heyman's can be quite aggressive in this Ferrari, and with this car being as good on the brakes as it is, he's got a bit of license to try and frighten Pospisil off the road. Pospisil keeping it calm for the moment, and that Porsche should have decent traction going down the final, the main straight, the front straight, which will provide quite a bit of help coming off of that chicane, because it's effectively acceleration zone, that final corner in this iteration of the circuit. But Hyman's there. He's going to have to rely on the Ferrari superior braking. Just hope that he can ruffle a few feathers. He's not done very well there, though. He's just run wide, isn't he? Hit the curb too hard at the left-hander. Now that's going to open it up for Eden, with the Aston Martin being quick and good on the brakes. Let's see if he can get into any kind of slipstream.
But I think the Ferrari now picking up traction has got it. But now look at Vermeulen closing in on the back of Sharp. Sharp goes defensive to the inside. Vermeulen tacks around the outside. He's going to have to be quite brave on the brakes here, because he's got Eden just ahead of him. If he's going to brake long, Sharp does a great job defending that. Looks questionable for a while, but then Eden has gone a little bit deep on the entry to turn 3. That's allowed Sharp to come around the outside. But can he hold the line? And Vermeulen does an absolutely fantastic job not to take Sharp out as he found speed midway round the corner. Vermeulen shows his nose again, going to turn 4. But no, Sharp doing a fantastic job despite being boxed in by Eden. Still been able to throw defensive shapes at Vermeulen, recognising where he is at all times despite the spray.
Yeah, good job from both of those there, because Eden got a little bit snaky on the throttle through turn 3, the early part of turn 3. And there with Sharp trying to go around the outside, you'd expect it might have a little bit more grip, and it might do as the track develops, especially with that heavy rain coming. But Vermeulen there picking up some traction on the inside, and both drivers did really well, because you saw Sharp turned out of it just as Vermeulen backed out. So sensible driving from all.
And I think Eden there just got a bit of a snap off the outside curb of turn 9, and Sharp's going for it. Sharp's going round the outside, but he's gone too deep. He's gone way too deep. Now Vermeulen's going to say thank you very much, Vermeulen, instead of electing to go down the inside. What's that done for Sharp? Sharp returned back behind. That's the car of...
That's Gibino. That's Gibino who's leading Silver. So, yeah, not an awful lot of harm done there. Obviously, he's lost out to Vermeulen. Vermeulen may want to pass him anyway. But, Vermeulen's actually got Eden in all of that. So, it might have frightened Eden off the road just a little bit. And Vermeulen's passed him around the final complex. We didn't quite see it. But,
sorry, I've just picked up Serpentine. Watching, having Chetmasov get a bit loosey-goosey on every single curb that he seems to be finding. He went quite deep at turn 15, and now Serpentine with some good speed. But I tell you what, that Lexus has got some grunt behind it. Really looked like it was game on coming out of turn 16. But once they got the car all straightened out, the Lexus stepped away.
Yeah, with the Lexus, it's so hard because it's got so much power.
Oh, but look at this coming down the pit straight. This is Lino trying to go on the inside of Kalugin. He's got another Ferrari just behind him of Cherry Moore. Cherry Moore has a little look, but then the Porsche just behind that. Who is that Porsche just behind? They're wiggling all over the place.
He's got Kalugin. That might be Grace. Yeah, it is Grace. He's just coming out of the pits. Obviously, he had damage in the lap 1, so he's pitted. Down. And so he's already a lap behind. So that's who it is. As we've had, I think, a Lamborghini in strife. That's Ferreth. He's now back in the pits, having ported there. We don't know quite what's happened, but I suspect that he was repairing some damage anyway. He's now back out in the race, but that's obviously big damage done to his race. We can see now Pospisil still 0.4 of a second, isn't he, ahead of Hyman's. And I think
consistently defends very heavy on the inside, doesn't he? Going through turn 10.
If he can stop the run, it's fine. But eventually, Hyman's will wise up. I know he's had his racecraft has had to develop a bit over the course of the season, but eventually Hyman's will wise up to that and perhaps leave it so that he can open up the apex, potentially get a run at him to go side by side through the next complex. It's difficult, but I think if he keeps going defensive like that, that's eventually what will happen. Clayton's already got a 7.5 second lead on Pospisil.
So yeah, Clayton absolutely laying down the marker despite being the reverse grid pole man. He's showing great pace. Another man that's always showing great pace though is Jared Vermeulen, and he's got double slipstream going down towards turn 1. I'll tell you what, has he put extra downforce on this? It's not quite. Oh, and then that is Heyman's. No, Pospisil finally given it the position. He went over the curb of turn 2. That's let both chasing cars, Vermeulen and Heyman's through. But now what can Heyman's do? Now he's got clear air in front of him in terms of actually pulling away at all from Vermeulen.
Well, Vermeulen's followed him through. So I think he'll be looking rearwards just for the moment. But Vermeulen's just made steady progress. And I think if you're Clayton, you kind of want to see Hyman's give it a real good go. And he's a competitive so-and-so is Hyman, so I suspect that he will. But Vermeulen, they're just managing his way through. And obviously it's kind of what he's built his championship on, not just the prodigious speed, but he's managed his way through quite superbly in a few races, certainly race 2s this season. I think
I'm
that's
telling you what, Pospisil is looking rattled. There's a few spicy corners, and this has really invited Eden into the mix. It doesn't defend the hairpin of turn 10 quite as aggressively this time, and that's treating him well. He's actually got better traction this time to defend against Eden.
The loss of rhythm, though, that's why he's having those, because when you get past a couple of times, you lose focus, you lose where you were, and that's why then with Pospisil, he looks ragged and rattled through those corners. You'll expect to see him gather it up a little bit. He's not been quick anyway, but you'll expect to see him gather it up and potentially provide a little bit more of a stern resistance. As I can see, there's a big old queue behind Coppens, isn't there, in 16th? He's got Thacker, Brown and Lino all behind him in close attendance. That's the closest battle I can see, really, with the exception of this one, which looks like it's going to be settled. But here's Coppens now, which I think he's got a lot of damage on that rear end. That would be why he's holding up, because he's shown himself a bit quicker, but that Ferrari does look beaten up, doesn't it?
It very much does. Let's just throw a little bit of love in the way of former commentator of this Sunday series, Owen Harris, coming from the very back of the grid, currently sat in P14, second in class. It's a great bit of advancement for the first 10 minutes.
Yeah, Baby Daddy's done rather well, isn't he? It's when he's been able to race. Obviously, he's had a lot of things getting up.
Oh, Cherry Moore going across the grass.
For the lead. He's going for the lead, is he?
Oh,
is that Cherry Moore?
That is Cherry Moore, absolutely dancing off the track.
He's done well to gather that up. I know he's gone slightly wide, Owen. I know he's lost out to Trevor Mendes, but he's done really well to gather that up. Was that car a lap down?
That is.
Who's the McLaren there? I think that is 905, which is Felix. So that won't be popular with Harris. I know he's a bit of a competitive character anyway, isn't he, Owen? So I don't think he'll be very popular with Owen there at all. I think they might not have heard the last of that. He's got to go and get past Mendes all over again. He's proven himself to be an ever tougher customer, hasn't he, Mendes, over the course of this season. So difficult for these two of the standout drivers over the second half of this season. They're doing battle for second in class still. And
then we have another blue flagged car in the middle. That's the BMW.
That's Herc.
Of Herc.
That's Marnix Herc.
Oh, but then Mendes does not get a good drive out. And Herc almost running into the back of him, coming up through turn 11. But collects, and Harris will be harrying him to get out of the way once again, as he does. And Harris will have to watch this closely because Herrick's losing it. Oh, Herrick's lost it big time.
Yeah, now he's got to pull over. He's overdriving the car for no real reason. So, he's got to be... How's he rejoin? It's not stellar, but I think that's fine in the end. He's not caused any complete carnage. But yeah, just a little bit of overdriving there from her when no real need to do so.
Oh, here comes Adam Sharp on the inside of Poppersil. Ooh, just missed his rear. Going into turn 4.
Yeah, Pospisil's problems continue, don't they? He's lost out to Gabino already. Vermeulen has already got past Wouter Hymans. He's now just 8.5 seconds behind Clayton. That'll be something to watch out for over the next couple of laps. So I think that gap's probably going to close up.
Yeah, we don't expect anything. It's not so much if Vermeulen's going to pass you, but when. And hopefully that when is sometime after the checkered flag for Clayton. Because Vermeulen is hunting him down now. And look, already 0.7 of a second been taken out of Clayton in just a sector. Oh, it's Sharp, gets a little bit dicey on the brakes. Does manage to avoid Popper still ahead of him.
Yeah,
a cheeky little battle just down the bottom here. This is Cherry Moore, and there was a little bit of a swapper going on ahead. That's wasn't Kalugin. That is
Coppens, and it's Kalugin just a little bit ahead. That's Grace. That's Grace in the Porsche ahead, but yes. Coppens just gone wide, and that's going to allow Kelleher now around the outside.
On the grass.
A brave man to go around the outside there, but I think he's got it done. I think yes, he has. Coppens quite fair on him, but Kelleher, excellent move. This is what he is capable of. When he gets it together, but that was an excellent move from Dale Kelleher, and he can be rightly pleased with that as he moves up into 20th.
Attempting to move around the outside, but he's gone the wide line. He's going to try and cut back. So Coppens has gone wide, rejoins just in the nick of time, reclaims the on-track space. But all of this is allowing Kelleher, with that fantastic move using the grass, to just nick a second ahead.
You wanted to see how much of a disadvantage a pit lane start is in a race like this. Look at where Travaglioli is now. 17th, having to come through the field, and whilst he's going through turn 1, Vermeulen is Clayton is off on the way to Campsa, so yeah, that is probably about 40-45 seconds there lost for the Ferrari, plus that probably, to be honest with you, and that is why you don't want to be collecting pit lane starts here.
So some of the action that we've missed, Trevor Mendez has closed right up to the back of Chris Gedman. What a turn up for the books, and in some calamity, and as you see Harris going off in the background there, going right over the curb of turn 4. Townsend's managed to slice himself into the conversation for a win here for the AM class.
Yeah, so Townsend was leading, so Mendez has passed him on track somewhere. We didn't see exactly where, but Townsend was leading and might have made a mistake because he was quite far ahead from memory. So, yeah, something there for Townsend to continue.
Oh, my God, Chris Gedman getting really defensive. Oh, there's a touch! Mendez just could not decide which corner he wanted to go for. And look at Townsend's brought himself right back into this.
Yeah, no great issue there. Gedman survives, lives another day, so I don't think there'll be any further kickback from that, although we won't want Mendez to be doing that again for obvious reasons. But yeah, no issues there. No positions gained or anything, just a little bit of a firm contact.
So now this top 3 in the AM tier covered by probably in about 3 or 4 seconds, with Gedman being the stopper. Oh, is Mendez wide again?
I think Sharp is just lining up a move on Gabino, so he's gone past Boschmagil at some point. Now he's side by side for P5 as he looks down the inside here.
There's a bit of a rub round turn 4, but I think both drivers will be relatively content with that. Rubbing is racing after all. Yeah,
Gabino don't really know what he was doing. He had Sharp on the inside. I think he just turned in a little bit too early. He didn't quite allow for the car on the inside, but yeah, they survived, so no issues there. Mind you, looking at the lead gap, 5.8 seconds it was. It's going to go down, I think, to 5.2 seconds. It's best get the Jaws music playing because I think they're together, as we can see another battle on screen. That's Gedman versus Mendez Mark II, isn't it?
It is. So after Mendez has rattled his head a little bit, reconvened with some sanity, he goes chasing back after Gedman once again. Gedman just not looking like he's that comfortable with the car, would you say?
Porsche does look like a difficult hard to drive, doesn't it? I mean, it's only really Brush that relatively has made, and Kazakevich, to be fair, has made it work, because Pospisil, he's obviously been struggling with it, Gebman's been struggling with it, and he's an experienced driver. Kalugin's not made the moves forward that we would expect, and Grace obviously lost it within day dot, didn't he? So I think it's a car issue more than a driver issue, because there's a lot of experienced drivers who are struggling really to put the power down and to get this Porsche tamed around here.
Yeah, so Mendes, unfortunately for him, regardless of Gedman's handle on that car, he is still playing a very strong tactical game and keeping Mendes frustrated. But just behind, I can see Harris has now
Gebman's
got
gone wide
for
on the exit, but I think Mendes is now going to have a run down the start straight, because Gebman went wide at the exit of the final corner. Here's Mendes down the inside now. The Aston Martin pulls alongside. Gebman ends up on the grass momentarily, and I think the move's done before the corner. Mendes does cut across, and that is a car between the
and there's Harris trying to go down the inside, and he gets that done. Defends from Travaglioli and turns a defence into an attack on Dazza Townsend and up into P2 in the AM class.
Yeah, 4D chest there from Baby Daddy. If you don't want to lose a place, the best thing to do is to gain one. But Townsend coming back at him, isn't he? He's going to go down the inside. Is he going to make it work? I don't think he is, and I think he wisely backs out of that with Travaglioli waiting in the wings there.
Now, what are you thinking here? Would you, if you're Townsend, do you let Travaglioli through and try and unsettle Harris before you make your move after what has just happened to Townsend, which essentially is what he wants to plan for?
Yes. I think if you've got someone who's as quick as Travaglioli, he's been, second in the season, or second in terms of pace all season, isn't he? So if you've got someone behind who's a lot quicker, he's not really in your race. I think the only thing to do would be to let him go and cause some carnage, not even just for Harris, but even potentially for Mendes up ahead, because Mendes is only about 4 or 5 seconds up the road, so you kind of want to you kind of want the risk element to be as minimised for you as possible, whilst maximised for the other drivers, because they might not think like you.
Yeah, just one sharp, decisive dive from a pro driver can really catch the AM drivers napping, both in losing the position and potentially losing a bit of control. As Gedman's gone deep, and this could be the run that Harris has been looking for.
Yeah, so it's been
another run deep. He's gone for the pits.
He's pitting. Yeah, I think he might have had a bit of a loss of grip, so I don't know whether or not he's under pressured his wets. Travaglioli goes wide. Don't know whether he's under pressured his wets, which might mean that he's not got the purchase. Certainly, I wouldn't have thought there'd be any danger of him over-pressuring it, which would lead to overheating. So, although I can see that certain drivers, Eden among them, are starting to get quicker and quicker. So I do wonder if the track is starting to get to a point where it's a little bit more drivable. Eden's gone quicker than what he has done recently. And I think the same can be said for Adam Sharp as I look just at the top there. Yeah, they're both setting green times. So I'm just going to have a look at that at the moment, whilst you obviously called the action. But I think the track's starting to get a little bit better.
Yeah, I've just been concentrating on this charge from Brush Tully, currently up to P2 in class. He's currently separated from Jabino with Popisil in the middle. Popisil, he's had a bit of a torrid time falling from Grace at the very start, but he's still very much in the conversation for some good positions here, as he does defend immediately out of turn 10. Brush Tully will see that and think, maybe he's feeling a little bit vulnerable. I'm going to take advantage of earliest opportunity, but we've seen tonight how difficult these Porsches are to drive. Maybe a bit of misunderstanding the tyre pressures, as we saw Gedman coming in a little bit earlier. The Ferrari of Jabino getting over the curbs there, over the sausage again. And for the first time in a while, Popisil looking to have real purchase out the final turn, but the straight line speed of the Ferrari gathers it up and pulls away, and should have the defence into turn 1 covered nicely.
Yeah, I don't think either 6th or 7th are very comfortable. Carino's lost 2 seconds. There
goes the dive.
Comes down the inside. He's a real mug in there. So he got it done on the brakes. That's excellent, because he managed to get it stopped. Really impressive in these conditions to get it stopped. He did not leave the apex once, and that could be a really crucial move for the lead of Silver, because Gabino, who hasn't been able to string a lap together for the best part of 3 laps, is now in immediate danger from Brush Tully behind.
Gabino, who's done a great job to put himself amongst the pro drivers, but I can't see him catching Sharp to put another one between him. So now this is a straight up fight, and this is Poppersill having to defend from Serpentine just behind. Poppersill really trying to patch up the bloodbath that is happening to his race.
Of course, with this, with Starkloff not here, this is pretty key for Serpentine, because as high as he can go gives him the best chance possible of winning the Silver Championship. So
all we've missed was Townsend re-overtaking Harris, but then Townsend just going off track in turn 4 and now losing another position. And that is Thacker, who's now gone through on Townsend. Now Harris, does he consider actually finally letting Travaglioli through? Doesn't think about it just yet. He's enjoying him sat there.
Yeah, I don't think Townsend took my advice, did he? In terms of letting Travaglioli go and getting on with it, because obviously Travaglioli now right behind Harris, whilst those two were dicing away. It's obviously left him a little bit out of sync, and that's why he's dropped back, obviously having left the circuit.
Oh, and I think Harris is finally letting him have it. He's thinking, I don't want to have to be defending against you for the remainder of this race, so there he goes. Harris can think about his defence and nothing more now.
Pretty sensible driving. He can now get on with his race. Thacker, I don't think will be much of a threat to Owen, unless Owen does have a bit of a wobble. But yeah, Thacker and Townsend behind are going to be focused on each other, whereas Harris can now just focus on the rest of his race whilst Travaglioli goes off hunting Mendes. It's got a bit of a lonely race, isn't he, at the leader van? But it's another really impressive race from Mendes in a series of impressive results over the last few weeks.
So one big name that's gone into the pits is Adam Sharp, and so he's in his box now. Quite early to call it, wouldn't you say? I think he was in a good spot to carry on in some quite clean air. So maybe is an undercut really possible when the rain's about to increase?
Well, I think he might actually be sort of preparing, really, because if your pressures are far too low, you're going to be nowhere. Whereas if your pressures are then too high a little bit later on, you can see it coming down, then again, you're going to have issues. So it might be, if you think you can get clean air, which he can, for the moment, get clean air, he's going to be, what, 20th, 21st, 20th, I think, behind Cherry Moore. But he's got a little bit of clean air, so if he can get out in clean air, provided he doesn't get held up too much, I think it could be a smart move.
So within about 5 laps, we were tracking it here and there, and this is, after 8.5 seconds down, Vermeulen is now within half a second of Josh Clayton as they go down the pit straight as we approach the halfway point in this race. Clayton not just waving him by, he's going to fight this. You don't just give up leading positions.
I think fortunately for the Aston, it's quite quick in the straight line and it's quite good on the brakes. Unfortunately, Vermeulen's at the wheel of the Ferrari, and the Ferrari's good at everything else. So, yeah, certainly driving rearwards for Clayton, and Vermeulen has the advantage as well where he can do it on strategy if he finds it difficult on track. So that's something to bear in mind, as this might not be done on track if Clayton puts up too much of a fight.
No, absolutely not. And I think with the space that he just saw Sharp come out into, maybe he's thinking, oh, well, actually, if you look further back into the track map, there are big gaps emerging around Trevor Mendes, so you can drop back into that. That would be ideal to go and just overcook Clayton instead of actually costing himself race time in trying to get it done. So here goes Serpentine down the inside of Poppersill, around turn 4. Poppersill taking quite an extreme inside into 5. Can he get the car turned? Can he keep it tight to the line? Not that tight, but he does get it turned all the same. And Serpentine with a slingshot entry now comes the inside for turn 7, and Poppersill commits to the outside. He was down, he was behind on the outside, but he saw a line and he went for it. Fantastic defensive driving.
Yeah,
but then he's gone wide.
A bit of a fight. He's struggling a bit, I think that's fair to say, but he's putting up a real fight. Serpentine can't afford to go wiggling his wheels too much because he's got a championship to win. If he does finish towards the back of Silver because of a silly accident, then he doesn't win the championship. But if he can be sensible about this, then he puts himself in prime position. So he can't be too silly against Bosch Brazil, who's got nothing to lose.
Absolutely nothing to lose. He's nowhere near his counterparts in Pro. But this is still a solid fifth place if he can hold on to it. Actually, probably not fifth. He's still probably expecting Sharp to come through post pit stops.
Possibly, but he would then be fifth, wouldn't he, in class? I know you've got Travaglioli coming through. Brown has pitted as well. I think Sharp is now catching the back of an AM battle between Dale Kelleher and Gavin Cherry Moore. They're side by side going down into turn 10 for 17th and 16th. Now, Kelleher is in the same party as Sharp, so there might be a little bit of maybe team tactics here, or they might just sort of, try and work things out a little bit if possible. But obviously, Cherry Moore is the variable within that, so don't see that that's going to be too easy.
No, absolutely not. Cherry Moore putting his car in a lot of awkward positions. Sharp quite used to it, and Cherry Moore backs out. He goes into the pits.
That might work out really well for Sharp with Kelleher being part of the same party. I don't think they'll be looking to hold each other too much, as Kelleher does move over to the right-hand side and does let him go. So, a bit of stablemate at play there.
As we've got a McLaren just staying tight to the inside there.
That's Felix. Yeah. That's Felix having his issues from earlier.
Sturfentain still tracking Popperstill down. Popperstill, whilst he is getting overtaken steadily and surely, everybody that's come up behind him has had to deal with quite a few laps of pain as Popperstill defends tremendously well. But crucially, despite this close gap between Vermeulen and Clayton, Vermeulen has not made this position up yet.
No, it goes back to what I said earlier. The Aston's pretty good in a straight line and has good brakes, so it's also quite an easy car to drive in the rain. So whilst obviously Vermeulen is Vermeulen, the Aston is a fairly helpful car to have in these conditions. So it's certainly not going to be a cakewalk for Vermeulen. He's going to have to work for it one way or the other if he wants this win. He's got to also time his pit stop well. So if he doesn't get past Clayton, he can't get too frustrated in terms of wiggling his wheels. But he has got to time his pit stop well, just in case there's any issue or any traffic that he does come back out into.
Yeah. I mean, if you start looking at the map, the traffic is starting to build in that region of the pack. So he may want to consider getting this one done tactically rather than on the track.
Well, it's a minute pit stop, isn't it? So if he comes out, I think, well, you've got Brown down there in where is he? About the 24th, I think, isn't he? So it's a minute long pit stop. I think if he does, should he pit, he should come out in what looks to me to be some fairly clear air. A couple of cars sort of died about, but they won't. I think he'll probably eat them for breakfast, to be honest with you. I don't have any fears for him. I mean, when he does pit, because whatever he does, he'll probably be pretty quick. And if you're Clayton, you have to kind of react. Let's say that. Vermeulen does pit, so we'll see exactly where he does come out and see if most of what I've said was right.
So I think if my eyeballed calculations are right, I expect him to come out somewhere around Brown.
Brown being what would be a lap down, but I think he'll be out just in front of that. I think he'll be out towards Gebman, depending on how long this is. Gebman's just come around, so I think he might be out just behind Brown, maybe towards Travaglioli. Is that car number 41? Yeah, it's Travaglioli. We've got Travaglioli obviously having not stopped.
It begs the question if Travaglioli will even attempt to make his life uncomfortable if he does come out behind him.
Problem is, whatever he does, he's in a position where he probably won't win because of his pit lane start. So, you're kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't, really, for Travaglioli. He needs a lot of things to go right for him, irrespective of then trying to make Vermeulen's life difficult.
So the closest battle on track at the moment is this one with Serpentine and Popperstill. Popperstill really being a thorn in Serpentine's side. The Porsche traction doing just enough to give it the early advantage on any given straight. And this is... we go back to Vermeulen. I think he's come out just ahead of Sharp. Oh no, Travaglioli, like you said. Sorry. So that is Travaglioli just behind him.
Happy moments. Yeah, but that's worked out really well, isn't it? Because he's got 8 seconds. No, he's got a lot more than that. He's got a lot of clear air to Gordon Brown. I think that's probably about 10 seconds. Brown's obviously a lap down. Then you've got a small and battle, haven't you? Which again is a lap down. Car 186 and Chris Gebman. So this couldn't really have worked out any better for Vermeulen, especially with Travaglioli not really putting up a fight or a threat.
That's absolutely right. So once again, the main on-track battle that's for position that isn't separate by pit stops is this one, Serpentine and Popplesil. Serpentine just dropping back ever so slightly, maybe just trying to regroup instead of getting frustrated corner after corner, having to modulate his braking to stay out of the rear bumper of Popplesil.
We'll just say now that Travaglioli has gone off the track and has retired to pits. I think that is the championship battle done, and Vermeulen's going to take what was an expected pro championship for Sunday sprints.
And I believe that the glitch you saw was Travaglioli leaving the building.
Yeah, a bit of a difficult one for the Italian, but it got out of shape a little bit going in. It looked like the Ferrari had been struggling for a little while, but that's obviously made things more than comfortable now for Vermeulen, who will now go on and complete that, and well deserves it. I think we must give him credit, even if I can see a couple of people with some difficult pings. So I do hope that this does make it, because we've got Serpentine, Vermeulen and Hymans all in the red on that one, so that's something to keep an eye on.
Yeah, it'd be a shame if any championship standings are affected by any connected issues. Obviously, in real life, you've got the unfortunateness of mechanical failures. Online, we have the unfortunateness of connective failures. So in a way, it does balance out, but it's not nice to see all the same. As we were on board with Kelleher, but he peels into the pits as we head to Giovinazzo, who's chasing Brush Tully, who is currently P2 in the silver class, so well done to him. And Owen Harris currently leading the AMT, but he is now in the pits, and if he comes out anytime soon, where's the next AM driver? So he's going to aim to come out somewhere closer to Trevor Mendez, car 76.
I think Mendes might have the legs on him, but I think it will be pretty close. So you've got him and Dale obviously in the pits. Dale about 30 seconds behind, wasn't he? So that'll be a factor. But Mendes is just going round turn number 2, isn't he? With Harris having just left the pits. So Mendes has got the lead. But yes, certainly for Harris, there's the carrot to go. Mendes has just dropped it at turn 4. Has he gathered it back up? I think he is in the wall, but he's still skating himself across the road. He's got it back, but there for Harris, if he's aware of any issues ahead, he will see it. Then that there for Harris is the carrot that's been dangled.
So wait for the timing screens to update, because just behind him is Lino. Was 10 seconds behind, but obviously as you can see him in picture, that's not accurate. With Lino and Richings currently separating Mendes from Harris, with Kalugin still yet to take his pit stop and find where he sits in this competition for the amateur.
Yeah, a lot of drivers pitted early, haven't they? So I wonder if the track was they thought the track was going to get a lot worse before it got any better, and pitted with that in mind. But yeah, a lot of drivers are pitted. No one's really gone very long, have they?
Oh,
the exception of probably Clayton
and that is, yeah. I just saw
Eden, isn't it? It's Clayton.
I think that was Chetmasov just behind Clayton, who's now peeled into the pits. I'm not quite sure what happened in the penultimate bend there, but Chetmasov did look involved. It's ultimately concerning for Clayton's chances this race. He did have a good lead over Heymans.
We're just seeing now Hymans is just going into turn to go into the final sector. So this is pretty key then. Certainly if we're to get a race, and certainly if we're to get a battle for the lead going through as Clayton's just stopped. I think Vermeulen's going to happen quite comfortably because Clayton has literally just come to a stop. So with Vermeulen now going through the Mickey Mouse final sort of former section, almost, if you like, I think that he's probably going to have the legs on Clayton when they get down to turn 1.
So Bruce Tully, with the gaps in the top of the pack, has actually only come out second in the silver class, and he is right with Jabino.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised that Jabino's got back ahead because he was struggling pretty badly.
Oh, here comes a dive.
Has got past Clayton.
Can he stop him for Poppersill? He can, but he's gone too deep. The Bruce Tully can't keep a hold of that. And now he's going to have to deal with Serpentine all over his rear bumper.
Clayton's come out a long way behind Vermeulen, so Vermeulen's pretty much got this wrapped up. Clayton's come out, I would estimate, about 15 seconds behind the immovable object and irresistible force rolled into one that is Jared Vermeulen here. As Brusili surprisingly ended up back there because he was, from memory, ahead of Gabino, so Gabino must have had a pretty short pit stop. Or no, he must have had a pretty good pit stop compared to Brusili because that wasn't in the script at all, was it?
Yes, but Bruce Tully's got great speed down the pit straight. He did take a big dive into 10, but I don't think he's going to take the same one into 1. He's looking confident. He just needs to pick the right moves.
Guido's Ferrari looks so ragged, doesn't he? He's just lost the back end through turn 3. Having to sort of hacksaw at the wheel there, looking at it. Very sort of, direct movements. And he's driving the car more sideways than he is forward. So I think Brusili will see that. He's now just got to spot the braking point. Poshra had a really good pit stop, didn't he? Because he was behind all of these. Even Serpentine, wasn't he? By the end. So
it was. It's not like he's fully escaped. He is just ahead, but crucially, track position with only 20 minutes left can be key if he can be dogged enough to actually defend the position, whereas before he was slowly bleeding them. There goes Bruce Tully. He made a move into turn 10 before and he exits through turn 9. How's his drive? Yeah, here he comes. Same move again. Just needs to get it stopped. He didn't last time. He's gone wide again. Exact same mistake, but arguably even a bit worse. And who's that going slowly? Car 36. That is...
Not a factor. That's Coppins in the AM class. He's not really a factor in this. Yeah, Brusili a couple of times now offered it up to Serpentine. I think if he can sort of learn and try and brake a little bit earlier each time, eventually he'll get the block pass done. But Gabino looks so ragged in that Ferrari, he will get chances, Brusili, to try and see if he can wrap this up.
But all the while they are closing on Poppersill, so this group may actually get backed up a little bit. But here he goes, Bruce Tully coming again. He must have taken some downforce off that Porsche to be coming this fast at the Ferrari. He's got it alongside. Oh, Jabino turns in. Oh no, Bruce Tully loses the rear. It's hard to tell from that angle. Oh no, not now, Bruce Tully. Stay with us. I think that's Bruce Tully giving up, unfortunately.
That is unfortunate, isn't it? That is unfortunate. Needless, really. He was alongside. I think he was certainly had a fair claim to that corner, but yeah, we can't be giving up just because of one incident there. That's pretty poor. So Gabino there lives to fight another day, doesn't he? I don't know whether the stewards will look into that or whether they'll get a chance to. But yeah, Gabino lives to fight another day. Now he's got Serpentine behind. The advantage for Gabino here is that this is effectively the same car, so it's got the same strengths and weaknesses. It's all about the sentient bit in the middle. That is the driver. But he's also looking. He's got designs on 6th place, hasn't he, Gabino, on Poshra. So Poshra, having not gotten away, is now fallen back into the clutches here again.
Yeah, I mean, Poppersill clearly doing something right to keep himself in this position, but clearly something wrong as well to keep finding himself under attack. Jabino riding a lot of curb there to get a line on Poppersill.
Unlike Brusili, though, he has been getting it stopped when braking on the inside for turn 10, so kudos there to Poshra, but he's got a bit of fighting to do, isn't he?
And I did see, I think Brush Tully has got going again. Not sure if our words of encouragement have aided in that, but glad to see that he is still off and going. But here we go. Gibino wanting to put a pro car between him and Serpentine. A little bit of a buffer, please.
I can see that we were slightly wrong on Bruce Tully in that he got going again, but he did just stop and have a little, what felt like a little sort of paddy, as people in Suffolk would say. But he has got back going again, so we were being slightly unfair to him, even if he is, as that is Coppens then off of he's in strife on the outside of the final corner. Bruce Tully's now in what will be 10th, so he's quite far back. He's about, I'd say, about half a minute back from the cars in which he was battling, but he's now sort of fighting really for what is a pretty lonely fourth place when he was going for the lead.
Yeah, I mean, if he'd have just shot himself across that turn 3, maybe he'd have picked up a warning, but he'd have been back in that battle in no time.
Yeah, it is a little bit odd, isn't it? It is a bit odd that it sort of come to a complete stop. His car seemed, and even if he did, his car seemed fully in control. You get back going again, unless the engine cuts out. That might be the only thing, is that sometimes when you come to a complete stop, when you're gathering it up, the engine might cut out and shut off and stall, but not something that you usually see.
Just what I can see though is Kalugin has finally committed to his stop with 16 minutes left, and will be coming out behind the leading battle. He was leading the Amateur for quite a while after Mendes pitted, but he's not going to be any more. That first stint of his has not paid dividends. He's now behind Townsend and Thacker. And we'll wait to see if Cherry Moore wants the timings update, if he's going to be a factor as well. We know he is. Cherry Moore's passed him.
So let's have a look now. Clayton's obviously now 17 seconds behind. It just shows you kind of what Vermeulen was able to do once he was in clear air. So the next battle behind sort of Gabino, Poshmashield, there is another one. It might be Lino in 12th and Richings in 13th. They're separated by a second. Just see exactly how the tail of the tape for this. I mean, Richings has just, as soon as we got there, missed an apex, isn't he? So that might be battle paused just for the moment. They're all kind of spaced out, aren't they? Apart from the 3 for 6th, 7th and 8th. So, bit of
crucial for Mendes though. He did come out of the pit about 2 seconds clear to Lino, and he has persistently pushed over 3 seconds. So he's got paces, Mendes, over these silver tier drivers, making a case for him to maybe get moved up in between seasons.
Yeah, since he went lawnmowing as well at turn 4, wasn't it? Just not long after he'd stopped. He's gathered himself quite well, and I mentioned earlier about losing rhythm or anything like that. He's managed to re-find it pretty quickly. He's calmed himself down, and now he's starting to push on again. I mean, he's 15 seconds clear of Harris, and Harris has been a quick peddler when he's been racing in AM this season. So you have to say kudos to him, and kudos to both drivers, because I think they've been the class of the AM field so far today, with Kalugin the championship leader now. I think he'd probably still just about take it, wouldn't he? But he's found it really hard going in that Porsche, isn't he?
Which Porsche hasn't, to be honest?
I think it's only really Brush Tully, and even then, he's had his own dramas, isn't he? It's only really Brush Tully that's been able to get a tune out of it. I will say for Brush Tully, the only thing that we might not have mentioned when he came to a stop is sometimes when your car sort of switches off, when it stalls, you have to come to a complete stop, turn the ignition on and off, and then get back going again.
Speaking of getting going again, Serpentine has sent Gibino into a defensive stance. Gibino goes to the inside for the entry into turn 1, but I don't think Serpentine's going to get quite alongside, but can... Oh no! Serpentine turns in... I'm not sure that's too early, or if Gibino's got across, but unlike Brush Tully, Serpentine pushes on. What's happened to Gibino? Gibino now actually retains a much better lead than he had over Serpentine in advance, but now this pack of 6th, 7th and 8th is now expanded after certain calamities, and Poppisill is a bit clearer of this.
I think that Serpentine just lost it on the brakes. I don't think he turned in per se. because, you know, it would be pretty brainless to do so when you can see there's a car on the inside. But I think what he did do was, I think he lost it on the brake. So he's braking on the curb. With it being as wet as it is and it lacking as much grip as it is, it only takes a little bit to unsettle the car. I think that's what happened.
Obviously, only replay and stewarding review will tell us, but obviously you'll have to wait for that by checking the Discord. Obviously, whilst we've got a fairly space grid, obviously gaps will come together. We'll tell you about obviously what's happening in FRL. FRL is your place to be, your one-stop shop for online motor racing. It's sim racing at its very best. Do make sure to drop a comment underneath this video if you want the admin to reach out to you to send you a sim grid or Discord link, depending on what form of racing you want to join. We do Assetto Corsa Competizione that you're watching right now, iRacing, and probably the whole bunch of the new games that are slated for the end of 25 and beyond. This stream and FRL is sponsored by SimNet, manufacturer of high quality sim racing equipment. Make sure you Google them for your upgrades to your sim racing setup. And obviously, if you're already well embedded in the FRL community, do consider signing up for the Patreon. Packages start at just £3 a month. It gives you access to all the extra little perks that your standard member will not get, including your own practice server, reserved driving number, and early access into events and a bit of a say-so on how things are done in FRL. So do consider signing up for that. It supports everything from the running of the servers to helping provide commentary that you're getting this evening. And obviously, if you are enjoying the stream, make sure you like, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell to make sure you never miss when these streams go live. Anyway, back to the action.
So, yes, I think it's now a little bit more of the same, isn't it? Serpentine's catching back up to Cabino, so Cabino's not been able to capitalise on Serpentine's dramas on the brakes there. We're now with Mendes, who I think... Has he caught Brusciulli? Brusciulli obviously having his own dramas from earlier. Mendes there, stealthily as he does, has caught the back of him without really making much fuss or bother about it. So he's got to be a bit careful, Mendes, because it'd be great to be in the top 10 overall, fantastic, but you've got a class win in your lap. So far be it from me to tell you not to race, but he's got to bring his brain a little bit with Brusciulli, who is a bit frustrated, obviously, after what happened to him earlier.
And just as close as ever, this battle we've been tracking, Serpentine has closed back up to the back of Gerbino. So this will, I imagine, go all the way to the end, because there's not been much of a chink in Gerbino's armour. He's not really made the mistake worthy of a run from Serpentine.
Yeah, he was passable earlier on. I think that was mostly pros there, wasn't it? So we can perhaps be a little bit kind to him on that. But like you say, he's kind of kept it pointing in the right direction. So Serpentine, with that in mind, I think he goes down the front straight. Not going to get there again, is he? It's kind of going to be then a real sort of almost a Dan Dare move, as a fabled commentator might say. On the place, maybe within the last lap, but he's just got to keep himself there for the moment, because he's not going to move up any further, Serpentine, and he has got a championship to win. So if he does do it, it's got to be clean, as I think car 334, that's Kalugin, isn't it, who's gone off at turn 7. Now that could be pretty problematic with Mendes with an outside chance of winning the championship. Yeah, he is, but he's lost a couple of places, isn't he? With an outside chance of winning the championship.
He's glitching, so we're going to get off him. I think that's been the issue. So it looks like Mendes is considering the move on Brusciulli. Either that, or just kind of say, "Look, I'm here. Please consider letting me through." But he might not, because Brusciulli is going to have to consider Lino, who's approaching the back of Mendes at a rate of knots. So maybe Mendes is exactly the stopper that he needs, a fast Aston Martin, to ward off any attack from Lino.
So, yes, he does. But I think he'll be fine, to be honest with you. I think if Mendes is up just looking at Brown, having he's nearly just got in the wall there, to be fair, Brown. The Lamborghini does not look good in these conditions either. I think Brusciulli kind of wants to keep Mendes there, but as long as Mendes is sensible about it, he can afford to let Lino go. I mean, you don't want to because no driver likes losing places, but he can afford, if he so wishes, to let Lino go past and sort of pick up the pieces.
Especially with Harris something like 15 seconds behind.
Exactly. And Mendes still has half a championship to think about. He's third, so okay, he was 18 points thereabouts off of Kalugin, which it's going to be difficult to overhaul, but it's not impossible. So with that
Kalugin
in mind,
now in the pits, though. Is this Kalugin retiring?
Kalugin's had a couple of offs over the course of the last lap or so it just depends really on whether or not he's going to come back out and give it another go. He's got 7 minutes to go, so he'll probably finish ahead of a couple of AMs like Felix and Coppens, etc. So he'll probably be alright. Not really a risk you want to take, though, is it?
No, not really. I mean, you want to just... There's a lot of people now that are just wanting to bring positions home. But now Mendes is going for it. He's pulled us alongside Bruce Tully. Bruce Tully is going to defend in turn 5. He goes across the track, and Mendes will try and dive it down the outside of turn 4. Sorry, getting all the corner numbers mixed up. But Mendes coming at it again.
Still fairly sensibly though, isn't he? He's not leaving any half noses which are going to get chopped off and taken away. But he is really making Bruce Tully work for this 10th place.
Yeah, the Aston Martin were probably one of the longest noses in the game. That probably second only to maybe the Mercedes. Mercedes have really got a honker on it.
Yeah, certainly means you can force your way in, doesn't it, if you're in the Mercedes. Now, I think it's a fairly tough win, isn't it, for Ruby? He's 20 seconds clear.
He has stuck his nose in slightly. And
it's worked, though.
It has.
Bruce
it's not like he didn't fight it, but he definitely got spooked out of the entry of turn 10, and do you know what, that's paid dividends.
He's had problems, though, Bruce Tully, hasn't he? He's had problems with that corner on the brakes all race long. I just wonder if it caught him out again. I know he wasn't braking on the inside so much, but I wonder if it caught him out again, as Mendes does get a little bit tight the second apex there, so the Porsche might just have the traction going onto the final onto the main straight. But I think the Aston should now have it. Bruce Tully's got to remember to bring his brain here, because he's going to gain nothing but from just wiggling his wheels down the inside. So as long as he's sensible, as long as Mendes is sensible,
he's got drive. Mendes does defend. Oh no! Oh no! Completely needless. There's no fight between these two guys.
Yeah, that is poor from Bruce Tully. There's no need to be getting involved there.
And that's Richings through. Where's Harris in relation to this?
No, not close, fortunately, but that's poor. You can't be driving like that when you've just been passed, and there's no fight there. There's nothing to gain by doing that. That's not. And I know we're not meant to be giving verdicts on that, but that's not really the way to be going racing from Bruce Tully there. So, Mendes, fortunately, he's kept the lead. He's only lost 5 or 6 seconds, which in the context of this at the moment is fine. But, if that was not class, then you could expect to be receiving, I think, somewhat harsh words there from Mendes. So, all it's done is cost him position to, I think, Lino in 10th now, and Richings in 11th. So, he's only got himself to blame for that.
Now, a battle that we've kind of been sleeping on at the moment is Keller versus Gedman. Gedman, another Porsche that's been running into, as you say, strife. And just trying to defend around turn 2. Turn 3 now. Sliding around turn 3 is Gedman. He's really not enjoying his time out there. And Keller, who looks like he's kept his nose pretty clean, just got so much more entry speed than Gedman.
Yeah, so the Ferrari does look pretty comfortable here, and Kelleher has slowly but surely brought it up to the pole. It was a bit of a slow start for him, but he's done rather well, certainly second half of the race. Gedman, the thing I will say is that he has at least kept it relatively clean, and the Porsche driver there has... it's a difficult car to drive at the best of times. It's really bad on low fuel too, so it's kind of the worst of both worlds with the limited grip here. So Kelleher, again, he's a sensible enough driver. I don't think he'll be going banger racing with him, but he will at least give it a real good go.
As both cars do comfortably pass the lap car of Darren Mark Davis. Good etiquette there being shown by the experienced man.
Yeah, former commentator as well, the commentating OG. It's not gone well for him today, but I think he's really improved over the last sort of couple of seasons as well, because he's not long back from a really long break in racing. So I think he can be rightly pleased with his performances so far. As Marshall going round again, he was the other contender, wasn't he? So Kalugin's quite lucky that Marshall's had a bit of a stinker too, because that was the immediate threat to the championship, and that's kind of all fallen apart for the Frenchman there. So I think it's Kalugin's probably going to win, because he's now back out and having repaired all of his damage. But I think if there was any more positions lost, might have been in a little bit of jeopardy.
But man, we've kind of been speaking about Richings, who after the collision with Bruce Tully and Mendes now finds himself with Lino for company ahead of him, and this could be a cheeky fourth place in tier if you can just nick this one at the end. We've probably only got about 1 or 2 laps left.
Kind of a case of what might have been for him, because whereas we have got 2 laps to go, haven't we, depending on where Vermeulen is. He's just coming around now, so we've got, this will be the last lap when he does cross the line in a moment. But Richings, he had a drive, I believe it was him that had a drive-through for his starting position. I could be wrong, I might be giving him too much credit here, which I'm sure will be corrected if not. But he had a drive-through, I think, at the very beginning of this race, so being out of position at the start.
I think you are right.
So somebody wasn't there, but he's shown really good pace, albeit he's about half a minute off the lead. But he's shown really good pace to put himself 5th within half a minute thereof of the leaders. So he can be pleased with this performance after a self-inflicted bad start, it must be said. Meanwhile, leader Vam, Owen Harris now only 5 seconds behind Trevor Mendes. I think Mendes has got it covered.
I think Mendes has made a mistake, because Mendes was maintaining that about 8 or 9 seconds. So to lose 5 seconds in such quick succession, but I think the main thing that Mendes is going to have to consider now, he does have Vermeulen chasing him down as the lead car, and he's going to catch him in blue flags at a rather awkward spot, and this could exactly be the respite that Harris wants and needs to get in as he decides to trim the grass on the outside of turn 9. So I think Mendes can stay ahead of as he goes wide to do it.
So Vermeulen is just come around to finish the race, isn't he? And I think it's high time that we appreciate the class of the field, I think, for this season.
Yeah, I mean, whenever he turns up, he's a walking purple flag. And, yeah, I mean, what a guy. Always friendly, always great to talk to in post-race, always very analytical. And he's going to come round the final corner, and he is going to win Super Sprint Sunday's season and race. An absolutely dominant performance. And Mendes will win the the AM tier. And Harris will come P2 on the same lap.
It'll be a little while for Silver to come around, because Fontaine's only now going through 10-7. But he's got 3 seconds on Gabino, so we might have missed that. But Gabino gamely fighting on, but fighting on no longer there for second place. I think he can be pleased with that, with the effort that he's put in.
But I tell you what, who else can be pleased? Clayton, fantastic from pole to maintain P2 after originally being considered the back of the field, reversed and put on pole, and has defended a high position for a long time.
Clayton's quicker than that. It's been attended. He's not been able to race all of the races, which is the only reason why he's been that far back. If he'd had a full season, he would have been, I think, certainly a bet for the top 4 or 5. So he's just underlined that, really. As we can see, Hyman's and Sharp. Sharp was only 1.7 seconds behind Hyman's in the end. So, good result from both of those. Andrew even comes across the line. I think he can be pleased with this season, because he's one of the, I don't think you might be saying he's one of the slower pro drivers, but he always turns up and is always consistent. So I think we have to be really fair to him. He's done
And
rather well.
And that is Popplesil, the last man of this top pro group that managed to come to the end without any major damage or issue.
It must have felt horrible. He's done well because that car has been a bit. It's been a horrible to drive.
It's been a right dog to drive, hasn't it? So we've got Nikita Chekmasov coming home for a silver tier podium, and Lino will see off the charging Richings, and Brush Tully.
For a second, and then it's Brush Tully's the last across the line.
So yeah, with the longer format, obviously we would have missed a few drivers coming across the line from a few laps down, but there you have it. We're going to do a full rundown. So Jared Vermeulen, as we said, leader of all things racing on a Sunday, comes home for a win of this race and came to the field to win your Super Sprint Sundays 60 minutes. And obviously there's double points this round, so the championship can really get shaken up. But Vermeulen has covered that off nicely. Clayton with that P2, I'm sure really appreciative of the double points from this time around. Wouter Heyman's doing a fantastic job bringing him home in P3. Sharp coming from a similar position as Vermeulen, but didn't quite have the chops to bring it quite through the pack as he did. But still only finishing marginally behind Wouter Heyman, so still good drive nonetheless. Andrew Eden, Mr. Consistent, P5. Popplesil managing to hold on to that P6, good points. A good solid drive there. Then we have Serpentine and Jabino, who were fighting for a long period, winning and second placing the silver tier. Then Nikita Chekmasov, like we saw, coming home in P3. Liner and Richings were a pair for quite a while towards the end there, coming in P10 and P11. Then Brush Tully, the last of that pack, in P12. Mendes with a fantastic dominant performance despite a few small incidents here and there, did still manage to hold off Owen Harris, who looked like he was really charging at him. Dazza Townsend was more involved in that for a long period, but then dropped off Harris in the second stint. Will still come home for a P3 in class. Then with Thacker in P4, Sherry Moore in P17, Chris Gedman, so Chris Gedman P18, Kelleher in P19. Then we have some of the drivers that really fell back. We have Brown, Grace, Marshall, Davis, Felix, Kalugin with the double points may still clinch this one, but we'll leave the mathematicians and SimGrid to work that one out for you. Got Kazakevich, then Coppens, Travagioli, Verev, Duda, Handling, Hoek, Jablonski, and Johnny Sharp, all elected not to continue to the end. But we have an esteemed guest who we've just seen join, Jared Vermeulen. Well done, and welcome to the comms box. I mean, how was coming through that one? Not as many cars as usual to come through.
Yeah, but the flooded conditions, near flooded, then it went into flooded, mean that you couldn't, because I was in practice, I realized that on the inside for turn 1 and turn 4 and the hairpin, you just aquaplaned. So I knew it was going to be a race of patience. As you could see, I didn't actually make a move on anybody on the brakes. I just waited for a mistake to give me a chance. So it took me a bit to get through, but I'm pretty happy with that strategy. I didn't need to be desperate. Obviously, I'm starting higher up, so I knew that I could err on the side of caution. I didn't, And once I got into P2, the pace was good. It felt all good tonight, and Clayton really was. He had some really strong pace. I think you could see by the result it was me and Clayton kind of on our own little missions. And once I caught up that 9-second gap, I realized that, he's quick enough. I don't need to try and do anything silly. Hopefully I can pit in, do an undercut on him. And I assume he made a mistake because he came out about 6 seconds behind me after his pit stop.
Yeah, I think he
laps, yeah.
He went a bit deep into the final chicane just before entering the pits, so potentially about 4 seconds lost there, regrouping, and then trying to tackle the pits.
Yeah, because I had a nice window of 3 laps, so I think it was going to be close. I was feeling pretty confident with the lap times I was doing that. I was going to undercut him. It was going to be close on the exit, but I thought maybe I'd have the opportunity. But then I saw he was. I think 6 seconds or 7 seconds after that, and then it was just about focusing and doing your laps. But I have to say, well done to Clayton. Really good pace today, and it made my first 35 minutes quite fun. So yeah, it was a good race.
I mean, last question for me: if push came to shove, do you reckon you would have felt comfortable making that move?
Yes, I would have. But as the conditions were, as I was catching up to Clayton, then no, because it was at its wettest then. So I already knew in practice from my practice efforts that it was a bit, it wasn't worth the risk. But definitely near the end of the race, the track dried up a lot. So then I would have been able to make a move. So if he did come out, I would have just had to sit there patiently. I wouldn't have risked something. I was maybe hoping for him to make a mistake. But in the final 10 minutes, 12 minutes of the race, the track dried up enough where it was worth me going up the inside at those corners, because I feel that I wouldn't have just aquaplaned or lost control of the car. So, yeah.
I mean, that prediction was very accurate. I mean, when you go around to watch the stream back, you'll definitely see people like... who are we covering? It was Popsil, several occasions down the inside in defence.
Yeah.
Aquaplaned off many times.
Yeah.
So, it was definitely right there.
No, I agree. I mean, I saw that a couple of guys when I was coming through. I mean, I picked up 2 places in one corner because the guy was defending against somebody, I don't know who, and he aquaplaned deep and he broke too late deep. I think it was Sharp and somebody. And then I just went up the inside. I was like, thank you. Thanks. I appreciate that, guys. Because as you noticed in the stream, I was behind them for quite a bit. I was, for like 3-4 laps. I was just waiting for something to happen to let me go through.
Yeah, it was a very different version of you we saw tonight, but all the same, just as impressive. But now we turn from one man with extremely fortunate circumstances this race to a man who I think has got a bit more of a downed opinion of tonight's events.
Hello, everyone. Is that on the screen just now, the finishing order?
Yes.
I'm happy then. P7, I'll take that. 7th in class. Happy with that.
Albeit detached.
The performance was very not ideal. So I'll quickly run through my events of the race as I remember them without publicly calling anybody out. So in the way into turn 4, I got quite a heavy impact on turn 3. Grace had a little pirouette on the exit, so I had to sort of go off track to avoid him. Sort of rejoined after the turning point on turn 4. Followed around the exit, ran the outside, and somebody came flying into the back of me. I don't know what's happened. I've not seen any footage yet, so I'll need to go and have a look at that. But at that point, the back end was gone, damage to the rear. It just became very difficult, I guess, to control the car, and every small mistake I made resulted in a spin, including a little pirouette I did where I stalled on the apex of the last chicane right in front of Jazz. I'm sure he got a little bit of a fright with that one as he bailed out and cut the apex for that one. But it's just one of those races. But it was a super challenge. Like, I thoroughly enjoyed it. It's been driving like I've not driven this game in such a long time. I think the last time we had this was back at Misano a couple of seasons ago, but that wasn't intentional. That was a glitch with the server. It was entirely intentional. This time around, this is the actual weather they've had in Barcelona, as according to the forecast on Friday. So
I mean, it is late September after all.
Yeah,
but no, I mean, if you compare it to the amount of rain that was coming down, the incidents that usually brings, I think it was fairly light tonight in terms of incidents. Obviously, it's not saying there wasn't a few, but from what we could tell, but they were all seemingly light, understandable. There was one that we did call out, which we won't go into too much detail about, an inter-tier clash that happened in turn 1, which seemed relatively needless. But other than that, seemingly quite a clean, considered race by everybody.
I will apologise if I went full James Hunt with it, but nothing offensive was said.
You had the weather. You had the weather to be full James Hunt, reminiscent of Fuji. So
yes, I did.
Lovely. I'm looking forward to watching it back, actually.
But
First wet race we've had all season, I think, if I remember correctly as well. So
No, I think you are right. Yes, first red race.
But I think obviously you'll have to obviously give us your feedback on this, guys. I'm assuming you each one of you came across one, but the car that seemed to really be having a torrid time tonight was the Porsche. I mean, what was your challenges actually tackling them when you came across them? We'll go to Vermeulen first.
The Porsches. I did come across a couple, but I did notice they were struggling just because I could see what position they were when I was lapping. But the Porsche is a tricky car to drive in a flooded track. So I really do feel sorry for them. It's really not an easy car, man. On a flooded track, the Porsche is not easy. But I have to say, from what I saw, at least they nothing too weird. At least they got up my way, but I could see they were struggling, particularly on the brakes into a corner. So. Yeah, I think that guy who asked to get out the Porsche for tonight's race, he made the right call.
I was just about to ask you, where did Verith finish?
I think he left.
Smart.
Yeah.
Because the Lamborghini wasn't much easier. That's all I'm going to say.
He exited the chat 16 laps in.
Yeah, and that was... I probably could have saved myself 14 laps of time by doing the same thing. Yeah, the post race tonight looked... I have no idea of that. It was just so much spray, I couldn't see anyone. But Grace, we said at the start, he went off almost immediately, so maybe some truth to what you're saying, but I guess the one I really felt sorry for was Handley in the Audi, who I think managed 2 corners maybe. And he sat in the pit for the most of the race. Yes,
I did. I think I said in chat, I said that's a brave man in the Audi.
You did.
Yeah. I swear that Audi when I've driven, it feels like a stock car.
Yes. Have you given a driver of the day yet? Because I would like to nominate someone.
We have not yet, so get your nominations in, guys. Do you have any?
I would like to have a conversation about Luke Richards, who got a drive-through on the first lap and finished P11 overall.
Yes, we did pick that up in the commentary. It was a fantastic drive. He just sort of appeared with about 10 minutes to go, all of a sudden in contention for positions in his class, and was like, what is going on here? Phenomenal drive by him.
Without that drive-through, I think he's won silver by a long shot, I think.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know about you, Jack, but I think that's a fairly solid nomination for the silver tier.
Yeah, it's something that we spotted, wasn't it? I think with about 10 minutes to go, I think the pace that he showed to recover from that, because he had the drive-through at the worst possible time, in terms of not only have you got the drive-through where you lose 30 seconds, but to then have to come through the field, I think it's a fully deserved drive of the day.
Yeah.
No, I would agree. I said to him in chat, I said... you take away your drive-through, and also that having to then overtake people, that costs you time. I said, looking there, you probably would have finished 6th, 7th, 6th. He would have been amongst the pros. He had really good pace, good pace.
So to keep bringing this, I've lost the timetable. So, but I'd say for the AM tier. It's a toss-up between Mendes and Harris for me. I think Mendes, obviously, solid drive despite all calamity that seemed before him. He did still manage to win the AM tier, but all the same, Harris came all the way from the very back of the grid to only be 5 seconds behind Mendes. So I guess pick your poison. I guess for me, it's between those two.
I'll take Harris.
I think I'll give it to Baby Daddy. I think with the performance that he's shown today, I don't think he would have got Mendes, because Mendes, as soon as he was in clear air, was so quick, wasn't he, for an AM driver? But I think to come from the back of the field with all the chaos early on, I think he's would be a well-deserved driver of the day.
Yeah, and that leaves us just for the pro tier.
I nominate myself as usual.
I can't look past him.
Not on the fast, he did really well.
Problem
All
is,
I want is a driver of the day. I'm praying. Do I win a driver of the day? Yeah.
problem we have is that we cannot give it to anybody else because the guy literally came from the back of the class.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say we can cancel that little agreement of not giving him the driver of the day at all this season. I think he actually had to fight for this one.
But an honorary mention has to go to Clayton. The fact that he maintained that position with distance.
Or jokes aside, it's a Clayton. Clayton just, I think I haven't seen him show that good of a pace.
Is that a pop of champagne? Jeremy Mullen.
Not quite, no. No. Yeah, I think Clayton should get it. I do think, I don't know, I think he had a moment or two at the end there to fall like 26 seconds behind me. But I think I think he should get the pro driver of the day just because he hasn't performed like that all season. That's my guy.
So what we're going there? Clayton,
Clayton,
and Harris.
Yes.
I'll get that up. I'll get that one up later on.
Yeah.
That one should be tight. I reckon that's a tight vote. I'm not going to try and sway it from that point onwards, but I think that'll be tight.
I mean, I'm voting for Richins, or I call them Richlings, as I call them. I'll be voting for Richlings. I'll be voting for him just for what he had to do for me. He pretty much did a last to 11th, So not bad going for a silver driver or AM driver, whatever he is.
So yeah, everybody, so that's going to go live sometime soon in the Discord. So make sure you cast your vote. It'd be really good to have great turnout for that vote come the end of the season. Sort of like a crowning thing. Are we doing any sort of overall season voting for most improved or anything like that?
That will come after tackle, I'm sure. We'll have a little chat with that one, I think, in the admin chat and have a discussion.
If I win the championship on Taco Tuesdays, I will be 100% voting for myself.
That would be fair. I'll make sure as you go past.
With how unlikely it is.
Yeah, because you're quite close to the win there in Taco, and you haven't finished on the podium, have you?
My best finish is 6th.
Yeah, you still got a chance. It's brilliant. Imagine the scenes, man. I'm pulling for you, man. Fingers crossed for that championship to come your way. It will be a hell of a race.
I need so many things to go my way.
Yeah, I think 4 of us can win it, if I remember correctly. It's yourself.
No, Froome can as well. Behind, he's only 2 points behind.
God, right, okay. To be fair, I've not seen Taco go to the wire in quite a while, so I'm quite glad to see that.
I think if we be realistic, Gordon, I think it's probably between Aruda and Godfrey. But we can dream.
Aiming firmly for top 10. Like, that is the goal here. That was the goal at the start of the season, top 10, so I'm more than happy with no matter what happens in this last race.
All of my hopes for a good Taco finish was shattered last week when I had wheel issues 4 times in one race.
Oh no.
So, but alright guys, that's gonna be me. Thank you. I need to go to I need to get ready and go to bed, and got to get up early tomorrow. But thanks for streaming, and yeah guys, I'll probably see you whenever the next season is for Sprint Sunday. But guys, thank you very much. I do appreciate the streams, eh?
Yeah.
So
glad you do.
Lovely.
Keep it up.
Good night,
all right guys, I'll see you guys another day. Cheers.
Yeah.
Bye guys. So yeah, that was Jeremy Mullen, your overall and pro tier champion for the Super Sprint Sunday, and Mr. Gordon Brown, avid racer, admin, steward, and FRL extraordinaire. He's still here. You can hear me.
Okay. I'm still here. I've not left yet.
Yeah, and thank you for following Super Sprint Sunday, SimNet Super Sprint Sunday through FRL Sim Racing at its very best. I said it before, say it again, get involved. Do consider joining the Discord. Do consider joining in the racing. Like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell for the stream, and do consider paying that £3 a month to get your perks through the Patreon in the
Just-
server.
Just before you close up, you talk
Go on.
about Patreon for the server and the benefits you get, and one of the main ones, as I'm sure you're about to mention, is getting first access to new events
It is.
that are being unveiled. And last night, Super Sprint Sunday Season 20 went live to the Patreon supporters, so they're already signing up. That's going to go live out tomorrow night, I believe, at some point, to the rest of the public. And I think Patreon are going to get Tackle Tuesday out tomorrow night as well, so they can sign up for that as well. Just wanted to get that in there. The sign-ups are going live. I know we're late this season, but we have been doing the stuff on it. We do have them almost ready to go.
Yes, so there you have it. Immediately broadcastable perks live and as they are happening with the Patreon. But no, thank you so much for following FRL Super Sprint Sunday with that different format and double points tonight. And we'll see you all for the next one in the near future. Look out for your announcements. Goodbye, everyone.